Man, y'all know the name, y'all know the face. Y'all tuned into the world's greatest podcast. No, I'm not just saying it because it sounds good when I say it. No, I don't say it because when I put it on a shirt, we're going to sell billions. I'm saying it because it's actual, factual. You're tuned into the world's greatest podcast, Talk Ain't Cheap podcast, hosted by yours truly, Mr. It's a Movie Clear Real Talk. And I got a special guest with me. I think by now everyone understands I do not like to introduce my guest. I don't do that. I feel like every time I introduce people, I shortchange them. And I feel like I only speak to giants. I don't really speak to like little people, and I'm not talking like small people by law. I'm talking about people whose energy, their aura, their accomplishments, who they are, what they stand for, and what they're embodying as professionals, great people. I don't speak to very minuscule peons. So I got a special guest here with me, and I'm not going to introduce my guest. Little man, you can't introduce your guest, okay? You can't introduce her, all right? I'm going to let my guest introduce herself. So, friend, go ahead. Go do your thing.
Yo, tonight I am super excited to be here with Mr. Cletus, who is an absolute inspiration to me. And as I introduce myself as the urban flower of Staten Island,
come on.
My name is Shaw-nae. Yes, I am Shaw-nae of Staten Island's greatest place in the 5 boroughs. I am an 8th generation direct descendant to the first free black man to purchase property here on Staten Island, which is considered to be United States history. But I'm also a dope ass chef, entrepreneur, restaurateur, author, and speaker on the radio right now with you. And so I'm excited. Thank you so much for having me here.
Oh man, so are we allowed to tell them like how this whole thing even came about, or is that like something we could?
Of course, the door is open. So
yeah,
we're
no.
gonna be super transparent right now. That's what makes shit dope.
So where are we?
Right now, you're at 381 Van Duzer Street, Staten Island, New York, in the town, which is the 10304. And you're at Shaw-nae's house. This is my spot, the restaurant that I opened June 6, 2021.
Right. It was still COVID.
Still definitely COVID.
But you're here still.
Absolutely still standing like a rock.
How has things been going for you?
Things have progressed in a really nice, graceful way. I'm super blessed to be here because I have emerged from the rubble and dust of the pandemic, being able to open up in such a difficult time for the world. Not just like, this is not like no little small change issue. This was a global pause. And I was able to find my way through that situation where no one really knew where their money was coming from. I think it's pretty dope to say that I'm still here. My doors are still open. I'm still selling food.
And like I said, I think that you're even shortchanging. So I think this is like legit the best vibe around. Like I've been saying since day one. I'm like, yo, this is the best food on Staten Island. Like I've been saying this since day one. When I came through with my friend and we bought some oxtail, we bought chicken tenders, and we had the little chicken tenders with the little Parmesan garlic sauce on the side. And bro, I'm like, bro, this is the best food on Staten Island. And I told people to come on. They're like, oh, it's good, it's a little expensive. I'm like, how?
Right.
Like how though?
Right.
Like where else are you going to get this type of food, this ambiance,
because
this
groceries
energy?
are like triple the price. So I'm like,
and the food is like high quality food. It's not like, it don't taste like Applebee's.
It's definitely
like the quality of the meat is different. The cuts are different. The flavors is different. This man crazy. Everything about the food is different. So it's like, what are you talking about? Like, it's like what I realized from not just coming here and like supporting the business, as well as just knowing my mom and what she's going through with her business. People don't respect quality as much as you think they would, because everyone doesn't come from quality. So their ideologies about what quality is and what it should be and how much it should cost is coming from a place of lack.
Right.
So if you're saying like, well, if you understand business, short chain, a supply chain, if you understand what it takes to actually run a business versus what it is to kind of just be a consumer, both of those perspectives and both of those positions are two different perspectives and positions. Like you're seeing it from it's like you're in the arena and they're watching from the sidelines.
Absolutely.
So you can have an opinion, but unless you playing on that court at that moment, you really don't know what it takes.
You don't get it. As my boy Mel Hellfire on Instagram would say, it's the same fight, different round. Every day we up against this thing, and we're winning still because we're still standing. The doors are still open, and quality is like one of the biggest things that I stand on for my business. I push my family, because this is a family owned and operated business. My husband and I are partners in this along with our 6 children. And we believe that excellence and integrity are something that we want our people to know. And when I say our people, I'm not saying our people in terms of black and brown. I'm saying our people as a culture here, everybody that comes into this door that desires to have the experience of excellence and know that I am upholding myself to a standard of integrity. They need to understand that this is not just small fry food. Even though we're selling fries in here, we believe in the oil we cook in. We believe in the salt we put on your food. We believe in the pepper we're using. We believe in every single ingredient being put on that plate is going to heal you, help you, grow you, teach you, and love you. And that's the biggest thing for me.
No, without a doubt. And I feel that energy here. Like, coming here, like I said, this was not something I was planning. I was actually at shout out to Badass Boot Camp.
Shout out Badass Boot Camp.
All of them, Juti, DJ Severe. I just was around the way. Severe came into my deli today. Shout out to Peace International Market as well. Yes, 3240 Richmond Terrace, Staten Island, New York, 10303. Everybody choose peace. If you know, you know.
That's
but I was there at. Shameless. Shout out to Immaculate Space, the franchise as well. Shout out to Immaculate Clothing, and you already know you're tuned. The Cletus Group, the list goes on and on.
Right.
But it's not about me; it's about you. So, long story short, I seen DJ Severe. He came through, stopped by as a friend of mine. He has he actually has a restaurant that's opening up too soon.
Okay.
And he come pull up to the spot. Came to the spot, show love. It was our spot at the Badass Coupe boot camp at Empire Outlets.
Oh, okay.
And I was like around I'm like, I looked at the time. I remember that time we had a conversation about your hours. So for those who don't know, what are your hours so that we can really get that out the way?
So right now my hours are Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday we're open 5 to 10. Friday and Saturday we're open 5 to 11. And this is something that we're using as a strategy in opening, especially because of the pandemic. This is our way of kind of testing the temperature or the climate of, consumers and how they're spending money and what it is that they want to do. We want to be smart about how we're making money. So we don't want to just, go out into the races or throw ourselves in with the sharks and open up 7 days a week, and you're putting in all that time and all that effort and you're spending all that money and it's not returning. So right now we're getting a really good handle on how we serve our customers in that small amount of time. I was just happened to be listening to a podcast today that talked specifically about the growth of restaurants, and one of the things that the gentleman was talking about was just about making sure that you select the right hours, the right times, and we actually fit the bill in what he was talking about. So he was like, dinner is best, to serve, especially right now during the pandemic, because people are really only going to want to spend money around that time, and they're going to be a little bit more lenient about how much money they're spending for dinner as opposed to a lunch or a breakfast. So it's working out for us for right now.
No, I think one thing about you that I don't know if people give you enough credit for is that you are a scholar in your craft. And when I say a scholar, like I could tell food is very much a big part of your life and a big part of what family looks like to you. And I could tell just also being here, like the space, the way that you fill up the space with all the books that you have, the clothing from black designers. Obviously, you running your cooking show, you being super intentional. You got candles here. You have like different kind of things that are very intentional. That's black owned as well. I can tell like, if I was to come to your house for dinner, that this would be just like what your house would look like for dinner.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's something very, very special, because a lot of people don't really understand that it's not just always about the food. Sometimes for me, especially in my family, like food is a synonymous to community. It's synonymous to conversation, like shared energy. And this is like the only downtime that we really get the chance to really get to experience each other in the most vulnerable state.
Right.
Because outside of that, we hustling, we grinding, we trying to get it.
All day. So like for me, soul food, shameless plug, Soul Food Therapy is the book that I'm writing currently. Wow. And it talks a lot about why I chose to fuse therapy and food. And the reason why is because food saved my life. It was the key that opened up the doors to all of my success. It was the keys that opened up the door to my clairvoyant behavior or my understanding or my gifts. And what I learned was that soul food is not a genre or a cuisine genre or a type of food. It is actually the experience that leads up into the experience of eating the food. So I consider soul food to be the memory or the experience or the relationship or the conversation that you have in a kitchen. When you go into a black home, into a black kitchen, and you have a conversation there, you're watching your aunt, your grandmother, your father, your mother, your uncle, whomever that might be that's preparing the food. You're watching them really get engaged with the dish. They're like talking, they're counseling you. There's a lot of laughter. There might be crying. It's like there's so much that happens in a kitchen, and people don't really realize how powerful the kitchen is. It's like it's where the beginning and the end may be for you. Like you can be in a kitchen or a dining room celebrating the life of a child coming into the world during a baby shower, but you can also be in that same kitchen mourning and grieving and sharing a meal because you've lost someone, and that is a part of soul food. Like when you're in there, your soul is connected to the experience in how you're preparing that and why you're preparing it. You may be preparing it for the sole purpose of having a conversation with your loved one because they're getting ready to go off to college, or they're getting ready to get a new job, or they don't know how to fix their marriage, or they're raising their children. All of these things are happening while you're preparing food, and the food at the end is the gift. When you get to sit down at the table and you break bread with the person that you just had an hour-long conversation with, you have no idea that you even sat in that kitchen talking for an hour and a half while that stew was cooking. You know what I mean? Or while you were preparing this really complex, Afrocentric dish with beans and rice and spinach and cooked down cabbage and collard greens and sweet potatoes. And this thing might have taken you 3-4 hours to prepare, but you didn't stress it because the conversation you had allowed you to grow. There was revelation. There was clarity. There was something that was happening in there that was much deeper than it being about the food. And the food just allows you to connect a smell or an aroma to something bigger, which is the ideas or the theories or the practices or the advice that you get with that loved one. And so that's how the recipes tie with the relationships.
I think you need to get a PhD
in soul food.
And you can. I think food therapy should be a real thing, because I feel like we don't talk about, like, so for example, funny enough, my mother and I, we was having this conversation. She was like, I don't like eating food from outside anymore because it feels like the love isn't there.
Right.
And I sat there and I thought about that. I'm like, you know why? Because there's energy in the food. There's energy in the preparation of food. You know when like a tomato or like certain veggies or fruit is under stress. So you could tell and you feel that stuff, because even like everything that's created in this world is connected. So being able to you could taste it and then you can internalize it within your body.
Right.
So vibrations and energy and who's preparing the food and the way in which how intentional somebody is with the food is very important. And I think that's one of the reasons why I'm very, very like drawn to coming here. Like I tell people to come here all the time. I tell my mom, like, we gotta come. Her biggest thing is like she's always tired after work. And I'm just like, she's like, I'm just not trying to go nowhere.
I feel her. And you know what? You can take that experience home. Come and grab a plate and go home in the same way that you would experience here with me, because you're talking about energy, vibrations, and those frequencies. When you're putting that emotion and that love into the food, I feel like no matter where anyone partakes in my food, I don't care if it's cold, I don't care if it's warm, I don't care if it's super hot. It doesn't matter to me, because what I put into that food is going to translate wherever it is that you get the opportunity to eat it. So if you're not eating it here where I get the opportunity to lay my hand on your shoulder while you're eating, or I tell you that I love you personally, or I hug you on your way out, when you go to eat that food, you know that I love you, and that experience is still elevated and it still expresses love, and it still lets you know that I cared about you throughout the entire process of me putting that dish together, because I just think it's much bigger than it just being, bussin' ass chicken. It needs to be bussin' ass chicken made by Shaw-nae because she loves you.
No, I feel that completely.
That's what it is. That's what it is for me.
So how did you get to the point that, because I want to speak history, but before we get into your history, I want to touch on who's your supporting cast in this business and what inspired you to actually decide to take your talents from, cooking from different people who we're going to speak about to just having your own like stationary space location, storefront, brick and mortar location for you to be able to kind of express your love for Staten Island through your food.
My supporting cast is my husband. He's my partner. Here in the business, we both came into this business 2 different times, and I came after the revelation where God said, resign from your job. You're no longer going to be a teacher. I don't know if you want to take a break. So my husband is my supporting cast. He is the person that supported me the biggest. When I came into the food business, he handed me his $636 check on a Thursday and told me to go out and buy some food and start selling out of the house. So for me, I was selling it out of the house. And the reason why this experience here in this restaurant at 381 Van Duzer Street, 10304, the reason why it feels so much like my house is because this was the experience, and this is from the grain. This is where it started. So I was selling food out of my house, and within 7 months, I showed up on television and on radio after cooking out of my house and serving the entire tri-state area. I was using a line where I was running into people all the time, and I was saying, I'm selling these hood plates like mixtapes. It was almost like it was my way of approaching the culture. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to introduce something new to the culture, to the new culture of food, fashion, art, music, all these different things. I wanted to really like embed myself in the entertainment industry. I wanted to be around people who were much more elevated, who knew that this was going to be a high quality experience. And so I needed to set myself apart. And when I did that in my house, it didn't last long in my house. I had to get out. And
when you say you had to get out, what was happening that made you want to, was it just the business was too fast and growing too fast? Was it, being able to separate your space where you sleep versus where you feed and make money? What are some of the things that was happening that was like, I was like, I need to get out of my house?
That's a good part. That's a good point that you're bringing up in terms of like being able to separate it, because one of the things was I grew this business or embedded this business in the food industry out of my house with my 6 children. And so I had just given birth to my last son, and I was like pretty much breastfeeding in between frying chicken. And my mother-in-law is watching him on the couch. She's back and forth helping me with the dishes, trying to keep things down. And that was one of the reasons why I wanted to get it out of my house, was because it was a lot from my house. Plus, my house was busting at the seams, because I believe so much in excellence, and I wanted the business to grow, and I wanted it to be beautiful, and I didn't want people to believe that the food was coming out of my house. I was purchasing things that big catering companies purchase. I'm purchasing all types of equipment and furniture and things that I felt like I needed, all types of inventory and materials to wrap and package my food, because I needed to make sure that people understood how excellent this product was. It was not going to last in my house. Another reason why I felt like it wasn't going to last in my house, and the reason why it didn't last in my house, is because, like I said, within 7 months, I was exposed to the entertainment industry. You know how the small communities are. The minute that you're put into the entertainment industry, everybody thinks they can give you their demo. Everybody wants you to call somebody and tell them that they want to be on their show. It was getting so out of control at that point that I felt like, I can't do this out of my house anymore. People are showing up to my house not because they want to buy the food. Now they're showing up because they want to rap. You know what I mean? This is too much.
Hey, Shaw-nae, I see you making takes today.
Right.
I'm trying to make sure mixtape get heard today.
They were dropping
Where's the
mixtapes and CDs and everything right at the door. So it was like, I can't have y'all come in here, asking me, popping up on me, showing up, just asking all kinds of crazy questions. And then it was like, I had to decipher who was really gonna whose intentions were good and whose weren't. It was like people were trying to attach themselves to that situation, because it was my experience was so flooded with these encounters and these experiences in my house. Like, I'm catering, but I'm catering to the Ed Nortons, to the Danny Glovers, to the A-Boogies, to the Cardi B's, all these people I was having these relations, having these encounters with in the entertainment industry. Charlamagne, Teddy Riley, DJ Enough, Little Kim. This was all work coming out of my house. I couldn't keep doing that level of work out of my house and still, exposing myself to the community, because then it's like there's no protection. I don't know if my children are going to be, like in a safe situation. I got to make sure that we're still good, because, at the end of the day, anybody who knows anything about working in the entertainment industry, especially in the beginning when it was a hood tapes and mix, it was like a hood plate and a mixtape situation. I wasn't really making a whole lot of money back then. A lot of it was like free work. It's like, you're doing work for a photo. You wanted a photo op so that you could take a picture with an A-Boogie so that people would be like, oh, snap. You took a picture with them, you were serving food. Yeah, but I barely got paid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was fighting for the, for the plate. I'm fighting to make sure that somebody wanted to at least pay for my cab or my car or my toll. You know what I'm saying? So, like, a lot of that work was done on the strength. You know what I'm saying? And, like, had I known now, had I known then what I know now, I'd have charged from the gate. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see a lot of like the whole millennial population, this group of people, this culture, they ask you, what's your budget? What's your budget? Like, it's their favorite question. What's your budget? And when they're asking that question at first, I kind of like got offended. Like, why are you asking me what's my budget? Like, I don't know what my budget is. You got to tell me what it costs to do that so that I can figure out if that's in my budget. But had I known my worth then, I would have been asking, what's your budget? Because this is my budget. This is what it's going to be worth. I'm not going to charge you any less than this because I know how much work I'm going to put into this. So, like, back then it wasn't about making the money. It was about getting my face out there.
It was the exposure portion.
Yes, it was needing the exposure. And like, one of the messages I definitely want to leave with any kind of like up and coming anybody's, and I'm not just talking to chefs, I'm talking to anybody, t-shirt businesses, lemonade stand businesses, hoodies, music, art, hairstylists, food, speakers, motivators, influencers, anybody that's out there. If you have a gift, if you have knowledge, if you have experience, and if you have proper intentions and they're lining up with your goals and your purpose and God's plan for your life, charge for it. Because at the end of the day, when you go lay down and you don't get back up, there was worth in the time that you spent with people that may have not really known what you're worth with, but you should have made sure that you expressed that in an invoice.
And I was going to say, that's a great point. That's a great segue. How do you determine your value? So, like, when you do this type of work, or when you do set your plates, or when you do consultations, content work, how do you determine what's the value of the time and the content that you put out?
Well, there's a formula to preparing food. There's a formula to coming up with a price, especially in food, because food is like, food has significant power over people. People got to eat. In order for us to live, we need to be eating. But as a professional, as a chef, as an entrepreneur, as a restaurant owner,
as a mother,
as
wife,
a mom, as a wife, as an author, as an activist, as a leader, as of all these things, I gotta be able to make sure that I work the math out according to how I choose to spend my time. Because I don't have control over the time, so I have to make myself available to do those jobs. So what do I believe that time is worth at that particular moment? Well, I believe that my time is this. So my tax in that New York State tax, along with that 8.875% on top of the 30% that I'm going to charge for me showing up and appearing, and then whatever I'm going to charge because of inflation or because of the global pandemic, rising prices in cost. We used to eat oxtails for $3.27 a pound. Then we went into $14.99 a pound. Now we're down to $9.99 a pound. And then if you're working as a legally run business, you might see $5.27 a pound. So once you start doing the math on what it costs to buy 15 pounds of oxtails, and then you know that it takes you 4 hours to prepare that, but you also know that you're putting all of the right ingredients. I'm not going to leave one of the ingredients out that I have to have imported into my restaurant, which is soursop leaves, and I do that so that I can save my people. And so that helps as an anti-cancer, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, building your immune system ingredient for me and my people. When you go and do the math on those those things where I'm being charged the Amazon cost of maybe $15, $20 for a very small half a pound pack of soursop leaves, and I'm putting 2 or 3 leaves in there along with my pink Himalayan salt and my fresh ground black pepper and my fresh ginger and my fresh turmeric and my my homemade made browning sauce, not purchased out of a jar. When you're doing these things, you have to then put the math on it that these things cost money. So when I make the price much cheaper only because of the community that I'm in, you won't accept buying your oxtails for $26 from me. I'm charging you $22 with the increased price because of the 8.875 tax and the 3% for credit if you decide to use your credit card. And if you choose to use cash, then maybe you get a tiny break. But that's not what it's really worth. I'm still giving you a discount because I'm here in this restaurant. When you go to Gordon Ramsay and buy his $100 cheeseburger, he's not making it. Jose's making it. Somebody else is back there making it. He's not in there making that $100, but he made that $100.
You're paying for the branding when you go there.
You're paying for the brand.
When you hear, you're legit paying the experience, but you're also paying for the family that's also touching it, and you're also paying for the high quality products that you're getting for it. Like I said, I guess my question for you is then, why do you do it? Because I know and I understand exactly where your stress comes from and what it takes. I ain't gonna say I know what it takes for your specific business, but I understand the value in what you do. But a lot of people may not, because like I said, a lot of folks are still operating from a deficit, and they're not thinking that you need to pay for the value of things. You need to pay for something that's worth what you're paying for.
Right.
So why do you do that? Like, what is your end goal in putting yourself in a deficit for the greater good of the people? Well,
like I just told my son, obedience is better than sacrifice. So like I am obediently listening or answering to the call of what God has called me to do, which was to work in excellence in the area of food. Everything else that surrounds that is extracurricular. Those are going to be the things that allow me to exercise my gifts and also expand my brand. But I'm here right now because there's a need. With food scarcity, food insecurities, deprivations, with us, having these issues of starvation and this lack, I'm still putting into the community. We run a nonprofit organization, the Lotus Bridge, and the Lotus Bridge makes sure that we answer the call to those food insecurities in this community and the communities surrounding it. So from here to Manus Harbor to the 10303, we provide in food pantries. We go and take it into the local food pantries, to the refrigerators outside, and we hand out. We do this every single day in operation. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, out in front of the restaurant, we're giving out free food, non-perishables, meats, whatever it might be that we have, canned goods, rice, packaged foods. We're able to give those things out, working in collaboration with some of the churches that are around here that are also doing that job. And then we're out here doing fresh vegetable pantry on Saturday after 2 o'clock to 7 o'clock in the evening. We're giving out fresh vegetables, and like 200 people or so are eating every single day for free right in front of the restaurant. So even though I'm charging this so-called high price, which is still not a high price for soul food, I am also still balancing that out by making sure that I answer the call to the food insecurity issues and I give food away for free.
So speaking on balance, because that's actually a question I was sitting on. You said that yourself and your husband are partners. How do you balance being the business owner, CEO, activist, the mother, but most importantly, the wife to your business partner? Because that's two different hats that you now have to address, because that's your life partner, but business partners is a completely totally different conversation.
Yes, this is like one of the biggest strides or struggles that we have, because you're touching on a very sensitive subject, because we are new to a brick and mortar. We're 1 year in, so we were just recently delivered, here. And as babies in the business and as husband and wife, where we've been together for 19 years, this is something that has been very difficult for us to figure out because, one of the things that I say to him in the kitchen is I don't ever really want him to be like affectionate in the kitchen. And the reason why I ask for him to not be affectionate in the kitchen is because I need balance in the kitchen because there is staff that's present. And I don't want people that are not family to, that are in there, not necessarily to witness us, being loving or touching or anything like that. But, that's a very touchy, sensitive subject and a gray line for some people. And if they don't really understand the dynamic, they could take those things out of context. So then you don't need to have like a Bill Cosby moment. You don't need these moments where people think that you're being sexually harassed because I'm a very touchy and affectionate person already. And so if I go and I touch a staff person and I'm, telling you that I love you and, I'm asking you to have a good day or are you hungry or you need something, I don't know which way they're going to go because of the way that you see my husband and I in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying? So like, because it's such a touchy subject, it's like we try to find the balance in saying we do have to operate in a very professional way in this space, not necessarily just because of that, but also because it also causes confusion for us because we've never worked together. Like you had a job, I had a job. I was a teacher for 10 and a half years. I was a social worker for another 10 years. He worked in chemicals, as an engineer and, for 15, 20 years of his life. And then boom, now we're business partners. You know what I mean? Like when you got all that opportunity to kind of like enjoy the absence so that the absence could make the love go stronger and fonder when you got home and you could hug each other. Now we're seeing each other for 24 hours. This shit is like, oh my God, get the f- away from me.
Nah, I feel
You
that.
know what I'm saying? Like, I need a freaking break. Like, you got to get away from me. And it's a very difficult conversation to have with your spouse because you're not saying it in a way where you're being, mean or abrupt or angry or anything. It's just that like, if you don't give me the opportunity to have that kind of space or privacy or that break, then, then all I'm doing is being in tune to the things now that kind of get on my nerves because who's to say you like everybody at your job? You don't. You know what I'm saying? Like people at your job get on your freaking nerves.
Oh, who's to say you're going to love everything about everybody at every given moment?
Every given moment. So like that's from the time that I wake up till the time that I go to bed. 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It's like I need a fucking break.
I would say looking from the outside in, I think you guys are doing a great job. And I honestly, I do. And I think the concept of you guys making this family and home, is a business model that you can follow. I want to make sure I premise this the right way. The beauty of having your own business and your own brick and mortar and your own space is that you get to dictate the rules of engagement.
Right.
You get to dictate what business needs to look like here. And you can communicate the things that you need to communicate to personnel and to the people that are looking from the outside in the way you want to.
Right.
And you also can engage the way you want to. So I don't want you to get to a place where you feel like the concept of professionalism within this space needs to still be determined from outside or external forces of standards. Because the beauty of being able to have a business and being able to have your son here and all your kids working here is that you guys get to make this whatever you want to make it. And the lessons that are going to be, obviously we pray to God that you make all the money and you guys are successful and prosperous, but it's the lessons in the journey and the process that's going to make the family what it needs to be.
Right.
Because even from like myself and my mom, like my mom was going to her 5th year this year. And that's after COVID. That's after all the things she's been through, all the things I've been through. And now more than ever, I am more in tune with my mom, and I'm more like intentional about my mom, her energy, the things that she does. I study her. I know when someone it comes into the store and is messing up the vibe, I'll tell her to get the hell out of the way.
Absolutely.
So I would say like, I understand what you're saying in terms of like you want to make sure you keep a level of professionalism, a standard in which engagement is, but I would say enjoy the ride and create the environment of the way in which you want to live or conduct business your way. So the affection is the fact, like, he might see you doing your thing, cooking, and that might be sexy to him.
Oh no, he absolutely gets excited by those things. But then what do I do? Do I go to the bathroom?
No,
I think now we're being unprofessional. Now I'm coming out with my half a shirt sticking out.
I feel you. I get it. I feel like I think it's us. As a man, it's something about a woman that's handling her business, who's passionate about something,
and vice versa when he does. it's a very, it's intimacy. It's intimacy on a whole nother level. You know what I mean? And like, you want to be able to experience those things, but you don't always get, like being in the kitchen is very stressful. Like you want to make sure that every plate goes out, every plate is like taken care of. It's excellent. It's beautiful. It tastes good. And those are the kind of things that are like running through my head the entire time that I'm in there, is because I got to be so focused on putting that plate in front of somebody and making sure that it is done to excellence. Like one slip up, one mistake, the food's not cooked properly, or it's not at the right temperature, or there's hair in it, or anything. Like, thank God that these things have not happened to me, but I believe that it is because of the structure,
and the attention to detail.
I'm making sure like we have to operate in a way where it is extremely professional. I treat it like a doctor's office. You know what I'm saying? Like, where's your glove? Are you washing your hands? Are you touching, like, don't scratch your head? Like, there's all these things that are happening. So when a lot of that delegation is happening, that bossing is happening, it's kind of hard to see me as somebody who's being super sexy when I'm telling you what to do. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, I'm the face, I'm the brand, I'm the person that is, running and creating this business and this imprint, for my family. And so sometimes people don't really understand that when it's coming from wife or mom. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh my gosh, she's getting on my nerves, she wants to be perfect. But it's not really that. It's like, I have to be able to keep a level of professionalism that is to my standard, which is excellent.
Because you're preparing everyone for the thing that we all may not be seeing right now.
Absolutely. And so being that I know that in the long run, we're on this really fabulous island, and we got these big, beautiful houses, and everybody's got a car, and, everybody's, bank account is full.
And the waterfront is coming, and Empire Outlets, and the little 2 hotels over there. Right. And then you're talking about all the properties in the harbor went up 100K.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So when you're talking about all these things, all these great and wonderful things that are happening, our prosperity is coming, we got to make sure that we stand in alignment with those things. And so for my husband and I, it's like a constant conversation. As of lately, my intimacy with him has been conversation. And it's conversation about building. Like, I love to have a conversation about building the opportunities that are out there for us to grow. Right now we're working on a deal that I was given at the dentist. You know what I mean? I'm sitting in the dentist office and I'm having a casual conversation with my dentist, and while my mouth is open and they're taking care of me and they're doing everything that they got to do to make sure that I'm straight, I made sure that he was straight. He wasn't even in there. You know what I mean? And she mentioned something about land or gardening and things being available, space being available, and I felt that was my opportunity to, see if that would work out, because he loves to garden. He has a green thumb, and that's what he wants to do. And so we politicked an opportunity to get him a garden, and I felt like gifting him a garden that day was like, that was sex for me. It was like, to see his face become so lit up where he couldn't even think for the rest of the day, because all he was doing was planning. Oh my God, I'm going to get these people involved, and we're going to get these seeds, and we're going to get greenhouses, and we're going to get grants, and we're going to do this. It was like, that shit was sexy to me. It was like, I just came with a negligee on and just told you was getting a garden. I don't need to do anything else at this point, because he's so super excited he might explode. I don't even know. But you know what? That's what works for me. So it's like, I guess when you get a little bit older and you're a little bit more mature and you understand your relationship and you understand where you are, and you know that maybe a quickie won't work, but a garden might, like, these are things that get me off sometimes, is that I can pull those kind of things off so easily.
So how did you get to this point where you found a man like that works for you? Because you saying 19 years, 6 children later, and now a business. Yeah. This is deeper than just like, that's my husband. This is really like, this is your soulmate. This is like your life partner. This is like the stuff that we want. This is like real love, and we're seeing it. And this is not like, that's my baby daddy. We're not seeing none of this TikTok
not my
stuff.
bae,
No, this is like, that's your other half. Like, how do you get to that point, and how do you keep things fresh?
I don't know. Everybody's situation is different and unique. For us, when we met, he proposed to me 2 weeks after he met me. And it was like
2 weeks.
2 weeks. He said, I know you're my wife, and I knew that I was, and I accepted. And a year later we were married. And so, like, you know, it was a very like supernatural experience, and that'll be in my book, With This Plate I Thee Wed. It's a cookbook, talks about the progression of a relationship from courtship to your first year anniversary.
That's the second book.
That's the second one.
Okay.
So, you know, like in that book, it talks a lot about how our relationship progressed, you know, and it talks about it through the essence of food, you know, how we use food to really like make love and come together. And so like he and I found a medium. Like we figured each other out. There's like, we're not always going to get along. We're not always going to be in the best situation. But one of the things that we said in the very beginning of our relationship was we're friends first. And I could remember us like saying that over and over again. I remember him coming to my door, you know, to see me in courtship mode. And when he would go to leave, you know, because he would go back to his mom's house or his apartment. And as he's walking away, I'm like, friends first. And he'd be like, yeah, we're friends first. And that was really like the stamp for us, so that we understood that no matter what happens, whether we make it or not, if we decided tomorrow that we didn't want to be married anymore, we're always going to be friends. We're the best of friends. Like, we have seen each other at our best, and we've seen each other at our absolute worst. You know, my husband, like I said, has been in my life for 19 years, and he saved my life in the second round. You know what I mean? Like, when I passed away 9/11/2020, and he and my children found me, witnessed me gone, and they brought me into the hospital, revived me, resuscitated me, brought me back to life, put me on life support. Those 4 days, he absolutely believed that I was coming back. I honestly believe that our relationship grew in such a crazy way where my faith became his faith. Our faith was in union. And so I wasn't going to leave this place unless I had a conversation with him. And I didn't have the conversation, so I wasn't going nowhere. And so he sat sturdy. He got sturdy with it. You know what I'm saying? He sat at my bedside and did not leave. And he made sure that anybody that came into that room speaking anything on my name that wasn't proper, they couldn't be in that space, because he was preparing for me to come back. And so, you know, that's a different type of love. That's a different type of intimacy. That's a different type of relationship where you grow through your worst and you grow into your best person. And so we really have been able to like stand every test of time. There's been so many tests. I mean, so many tests have allowed us to really understand that our friendship has really succeeded above and beyond even our own marriage. You know what I mean? Because we're not perfect people, but we are so perfect in our imperfections, in our union, because we've been able to accept each other for who we are. And that is really like powerful for us young people. You know, if I was able to sit down and talk to you, you know, because you're in search of a bae or you're looking for somebody that you want to be with, I would say, you know, like, don't force it. You know, I met him in the park. I was selling fish sandwiches and chicken wings, and he pretended like he didn't have enough money. He asked me for a fish sandwich, and I told him the price, and at the time, back then, it was $4, and he acted like he didn't got $4. I gave it to him for $2, and then, you know, the relationship grew from that fish sandwich, where when we gave out favors at our wedding, it was 2 fish in a fish bowl, because we had met under those terms. Like, these 2 fish kissing in this bowl right now represent the fish sandwich that stole my heart. You know what I'm saying? So, like, we got a lot of history. You know, 19 years is a lot. And for what it's worth, I thank God for him sending me somebody who was as patient and loving and giving and willing to deal with all of my bullshit. No matter what, he was gonna be my whole ride or die. No matter what, even if I threw this fool under the bus, this fool would have laid his own jacket out in order for me to lay that, you know, put him under the bus. He'd have had my back. He has my back all the way to the very end. I mean, we face more trials in our lives, but we get so excited because every trial that we have faced together in union, we have been able to represent in a victory. Foreclosure, you know, not losing our house, we win, we get our house back. You know what I'm saying? Me dying, him having 4 blood clots, almost dying. You know what I'm saying? 6 children, baby mama and baby daddy drama. You know, mother-in-law, father-in-law, all kind of drama with our parents, all kind of issues and dissension in our, you know, in our situations, friends falling, coming back, infidelities, everything that you can think of, financial problems. We've seen everything. And we still stand here surviving, saying we're the best of friends. And we are still married. So, like, we're champions at this because we're not letting even our losses beat us.
So what's the secret of balancing everything that you're doing?
You got to love yourself. You got to know that you have purpose. You got to know that, you know, there's value on your head. You know, like, you have a life. You have plans. And if people are not going to be, you know, like I was just saying to myself for the last 2 weeks, Mr. Softy's the new solid in 2022. Like, that's what solid looks like to me. I ain't seen nobody really solid yet. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody got an ice cream head. You all soft. Y'all, nobody can really hang. But when you find somebody solid, like people solid in your life, through thick and thin, you don't let those people leave you. You know, a lot of people want to ghost you, not talk to you, not have conversation with you, cut you off. This is the cancel culture they're calling each other. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to make sure that they're unapologetic, running around here, not having conversation, no accountability. We don't want to have conversation about something that you did wrong to me because I don't know how to articulate what my issues are because I'm insecure or I'm afraid to say that. But a solid person can handle that. Jason and I have been solid. If I tell you a weary fake ass nigga, or you fronting, or you ain't got my back, or you being pussy, whatever it might be that I'm gonna say, you complaining too much, yo, shut up, I don't want to hear that kind of thing. He gonna be solid. He gonna stand there. He gonna take that the same way I'm gonna take it from him, where he says you acting like a bitch. I don't want to hear that shit. I'm tired of that. You making it all about you, blah blah blah. And I'm gonna say, oh really, for real? Like, that's how we getting down? And we get through that tough obstacle, and then we say, you know what, I was bugging. I know I was mad. I was acting crazy. I didn't want to communicate. I didn't want to talk that moment. But I figured it out. You know what I'm saying? I know some shit going on with me right now, you know, because I know that our finances aren't really right. Let's sit down and talk about banking. You know what I'm saying? Because that's the root of the issue. You know what I'm saying? So communication has really been the medicine for us. It has been the cure for a lot of our issues. And a lot of people don't know how to effectively communicate. I've taught him that power in your words is what is going to determine your destiny. If you don't make sure that you say the things that you need to say, and that you mean those things when you do say them, and know that you can't take them back, and also know that everything that you say has a destination and will land somewhere and will manifest itself, be careful what you say to me.
I ain't gonna lie, I need to find love, because this is we need a Disney movie or something, because the streets need this. I don't think you understand. Y'all tuning in to Talk Ain't Cheap podcast on the Talk Ain't Cheap network. I don't think you understand. I got, like, this. I said it in my spirit, and I was actually saying, I'm like, thank you, God, because God is really the greatest. And I said this is gonna be special. I don't know if your friend, I think your friend who works here too. I was telling her, I'm like, yo, this is gonna be this is gonna be great. And I want to say thank you so much, really, for your time, because I'm really learning a lot, and I think everyone here is really hearing the gems, because you know, family is important, and having the right support system, I think, is one of the catalysts that people don't talk about in business enough.
Not at all. And
especially coming from our community, you know, you being a black woman at the forefront of your business with your family and your kids, and everyone here that works here is family, or feels like family. Everyone who comes here is treated like family. Like, I think it's only right we speak about your family legacy and how your family legacy played a part in the way you operate. So speak more about your family and the legacy and the history of your family, because we could talk about Sandy Ground.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Sandy Ground is what it is. And, like, big shout out to Captain John Jackson, who is my ancestor, who polyed a deal in being the first black man to purchase property on Staten Island, which is considered United States history.
Talk about it.
Out here on the South Shore in the Sandy Ground community, which is the oldest running community by its original descendants in the country. The land is preserved by the United States preservation organizations, because those cottages and that church that are out there rescued and provided refuge to the slaves that were traveling on the Underground Railroads, which are documented as a stop on the Underground Railroad, where our homegirl Harriet Tubman has met my ancestors in that space. And so when you talking Eris, when you talking Staten Island, when you talking OG, you ain't talking Wu-Tang, you ain't talking Pete Davidson, you ain't talking Mob Wives, you ain't talking none of that stuff. We talking about Sandy Ground, Shaw-nae, Lois Augusta. We talking about the Henrys, the Landons, the Moody's, the Pedros. You talking about the Lakota tribe Indians being there because my great grandmother was a Lakota tribe Indian. You talking about Captain Don Jackson and all the ones that were around him, the Harris family, every oyster man that came from Snow Hill, Maryland up here that navigated their way through whatever kind of troubles of slavery or whatever escape that they needed. They came here and found peace, freedom, refuge, prosperity, because these were intelligent black socialites that came to Staten Island and established community. So it wasn't about, just the same old ignorant blacks that couldn't read and couldn't write. These were intelligent black businessmen and women that came to Staten Island and helped to establish business and community and home and property and land and civilization.
Why do you think that we don't really hear as much about that? Like, yeah, now we got the Sandy Ground Ferry, and it just sounds like it's really, no, it's fine. Let it vibe. This is a part of talking to you. We know where we at. You be busy. They know what's, they and that's part of the business. Folks don't know what the time is.
Right.
You know how that is. Folks is hungry right now. People kind of high as hell.
Late.
Everybody wants, I'm telling you, this might be a really dope after hour spot
It's
too.
a dope after hour spot. It is. I'm getting on that.
It's going to be, this place is special. I think this is going to be that in the area it is by the ferry. They building up, they calling it downtown Staten Island now. Whatever that means.
Right.
By the Bay Street, right?
The vibe.
Yeah. So I think what I was really trying to ask is more so like, why do you feel like now we're hearing so much more about this history and not for the last 5, 10 years, 100 years that, your family has been here and been doing all these things and basically was like the pioneers of what black enterprise looks like on Staten Island.
Mm-hmm. Timing is everything. God's timing is absolutely perfect, and everything that he does is perfect in all his ways. And when he's doing that with the intention of making sure that the people that he's doing it for, it's happening at the right time because you're aligned with your purpose, the plan, and his will. And so I believe that right now, the reason why the iron is striking so hot with our history in Sandy Ground and the ferry being named Sandy Ground and Captain John Jackson, they're having conversation about this and they're getting ready to put this information into the New York City school curriculum, and the students will learn about this history now in the Department of Education. They will be teaching these things historically. We are still here, alive, moving. We are a living legacy. It's important that you have that conversation, but what would it be if you were telling their story right now and Shaw-nae's house wasn't here? Like,
True.
The reason why I honestly believe, I just died. I was in a coma. And now, boom, we start talking about Sandy Ground because Shaw-nae done woke up. She's woke. She understands her history. She knows that she's teaching her 9th generation and 10th generation grandchild that our lives are important, that our history is important, that you're not just attending, these schools out here as, one of the regulars. You're an elite individual who helped to develop the fabric of what Staten Island is right now. And so you need to know who you are. And when they get ready to teach that in those classrooms, you need to be able to raise your hand and be the subject of the conversation. You need to be able to have the conversation comfortably and say, yes, I know who I am. You need to shock some of those teachers and let them know that you know who you are. And then you need to say, and when we're done here, why don't you go break bread at my restaurant, not my mother's restaurant, because I don't teach my kids to say my mother's restaurant.
Everything is
Go
honest.
down to my restaurant and enjoy a meal and tell them that I sent you, and you'll get a 10% discount. Like, I teach my children that they are entrepreneurs out here. And the reason why it's all happening right now is because we're all in tune. We all understand. We all get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm a voice, and I'm not in fear of sharing my voice. I'm not in fear of sharing what I know. I'm not in fear of sharing the legacy. I'm not in fear of these things. And so because I'm ready, y'all got to be ready. Mm-hmm. That's the way he set it up. It's nothing I did. It's something that he did. And when he let me know it was time to go, lights, camera, action, you're on. The same way you turned this mic on and you said, let's go. Let's get this podcast popping. You're only here because the time is now.
Without a doubt. Man, this is special. Where do I want to take this? Because we could go many different places. I guess my question really is, how do we get from, because I just want to touch this, how do we get from working as a teacher, being a social worker, to finally making that decision to pivot into like food is going to be the thing that brings me my peace, my prosperity. This is going to be the focus of my life. This is going to be the place that I want to take my legacy to the next level. Like, how did that become the conversation or the main decision that you had to make?
I was getting up to get ready to go to work. And when I sat up in my bed, it was probably 2016, 2015. I sat up in my bed and the Holy Spirit said, food is going to impact the world globally. Get into the business now.
Wow.
And I was like sitting up. I can remember sitting up having the conversation with my husband as I woke him up. I'm like, yo, God just told me to get into the food business. Now here it is. I'm almost 10 years in the business as a teacher, about to be vested, have a pension and, health insurance and all this. And he says, get out. And I'm like, wait, what? What you mean get out right now? And he's like, yeah, get out right now because food is going to impact the world. And you need to get into the business right now. That's how important it is. And then he showed me someone holding their hand out and he said their meal, what the money in their pocket is going to determine what they're going to eat for the day. You need to be somebody who's involved in that conversation. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, okay, well, where do I start? Because I didn't even really know where to start at the time. And so it was catering. I had dabbled in catering before that, like around 2007 out of my house. And
you good?
I was dabbling, out of my house, 2007, somewhere around there. I was selling fried turkeys. Mm-hmm. And nobody else could really fry a turkey. Everybody was afraid of burning their house down.
When you say fried turkey, like turkey necks or like the whole turkey?
No, fried turkey for Thanksgiving, your whole turkey.
Oh, yeah. Those are special.
This is like a dangerous job. Everybody's burning their house down. So I was doing that in my backyard when, my husband and I lived with my parents. We lived in our home together. So I didn't make it official that was going to be my business. Mm-hmm. I was like just playing around with it. But when the Spirit said, make it your business, and that was around 2015, I knew that he wasn't playing with me. Because then when I decided to do the catering was picking up so fast. And I'm like, why is catering picking up so fast? Like, how am I going to do both? I got to work. I got to go to work every day. And so I was taking these contracts with the NYPD and with the Department of Education and, Brooklyn Borough-based council and, Seaman Society. Everybody was hiring me to do catering. And I wasn't missing no work at the Department of Ed going to school every day. The Holy Spirit in 2016 showed me my calendar in the month of June where I had completed 35 catering jobs in that month, and the month wasn't over.
Wow. That's God. That's major. That's really big. Now that's major.
And so when he showed it to me, he said, you're not going to live if you try to do this and do this at the same time. Mm-hmm. You won't survive it. Because I didn't build you to do both. I built you to do one thing.
That's real.
And so I was forced to make the decision. I laid on my floor one day, and he said, plain, resign. And I was in shock. I cried tears, real tears after being prostrate on the floor, just laying there like, did the Holy Spirit just tell me to resign from my job? Like, I was a hypochondriac at the time. I had horrible anxiety and panic attacks and depression. I was suffering. I was 128 pounds heavier than I am. I was suffering from diabetes. Had high blood pressure. I didn't know what to do with my life. I knew that I needed health insurance. He said, I am your health insurance.
Yeah, man, yeah.
You don't need it. Quit. And so disobediently, I took the steps to leave the job, and I took like a little small sabbatical. I had my son, and I was out on childcare leave, and then I was like trying to drag that out, and then the Spirit said, I told you to leave. And so I didn't really know how to really accept the fact that he was really like getting on me like, okay, what you want me to do? Like, seriously, I'm supposed to like really leave my job? Yes, leave. And so I said, well, if you make me leave my job, how am I going to get busy? Like, where am I going to get my work from? Where am I going to get my money from? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be able to do things? Spirit said, are you paying your bills now? Are you on point right now with a job making over $100,000? Okay, so I'm not. So you got me there. So now what do? Quit. Clicking that button and sending in that resignation letter online was this one of the scariest things that I had to do in order to make my own decision for my future. And when I clicked that button and sent that thing in, I can honestly tell you I sat in my attic for 3 months and just stared out the window like, where's the work gonna come from? And when I couldn't figure that part out, he said, stop thinking so hard and just let me provide it to you.
Amen. Yeah, that's real.
And so he told me, the first job that I want you to do is I want you to write a book. I said, write a book? He said, yeah, write a book. Finish it. Like, stop being the jack of all trades, the master of none. Master something. And so I wrote the book. I wrote that book in 5 days. And then I sent it to my cousin and she read it in 2 days. And then she helped me edit it. And then we sent it in to have it published by the self-publishing company. And when we sent it in, it took 3 days. In 10 days, that book was written, edited, and published. The number 10 represents completion, finished, done. It was done in 10 days. I was a published author in 10 days.
Wow.
And that's when he showed me, like, why do you think your business won't work now that you finished something? It took off after that. When I decided that I was going to take my business seriously every day, it was about making sure that I took every step to educate myself, because I knew that I didn't need to go to school in order to learn how to cook, because I knew how to cook. My grandmother was a dietitian for 40 years. She cooked, she wrote cookbooks, she published cookbooks. And so she had passed those things down to me. Out of the 19 grandchildren she had, I had picked it up easy. And so I knew that I didn't need schooling. I knew that I needed the school of hard knocks to train me on business, because I didn't have business sense. I didn't know about an invoice. I didn't know how to communicate and network. I didn't know how to market. I didn't know these things. And so these were the things that I had to learn in a very difficult time. I had to figure these things out.
Are you good?
And in figuring those things out, I learned so much about being a businesswoman, because it was like Harvard, Columbia, NYU, all these big schools where they harvest these, grow these white men to be these capitalists, these businessmen, these CEOs, and make these decisions for everybody else, for no prosperity to ever trickle down. I was learning this shit on my own, reading and being in it every single day. And so after figuring these things out, I realized boss was in me from the very first day. It really truly is an innate ability that we do have, when you tap in, you really understand who the fuck you are. Excuse my language. I knew who I was at that very moment. The day that I sent out an invoice and it had the price on it, I wasn't scared. Yo, that bill is that. Like, I don't know what to tell you. And it's due immediately. And if not, I don't show up. Like, when I was able to write that at the bottom of an invoice that I was generating out of a computer that I purchased, with ink that I had to buy, stationery I had to create, logos I had to draw. When I started figuring these things out, I realized, like, this is what happens when you actually figure some shit out about yourself. When passion actually exceeds anything that you think about a pension. I had blown myself out of the water. I had figured out that I was no longer, the employee that had issues with authority. I was the authority. I was my own boss. And I needed to teach my husband and my children that I am the boss. That you guys are going to have to jump on this choo-choo train with me, because I'm not taking anything less than bosses. I get it. You guys want to figure some stuff out in your life, but I'm giving you a blueprint to skip some steps like Candyland. I'm going to show you how to do this. And that has been the most powerful thing for me, is every single day of my career in food, I'm learning how to be a better boss every day. I listen to podcasts. I read books every single day. I meditate. I write things down. I study. I research. I talk to people. I ask questions. These are things you're doing in a traditional classroom where you're paying $100,000. I'm doing it right out here on the street, on the block. And you know what? It feels good to not have to ask the professor who's the white 60-year-old man who's not even a businessman, but he's a professor who's been taught to teach me. I'm asking the young Cletus who owns a store, who's younger than me, who runs a business, who has all this, marketing skill and articulation in him, and he's spitting this thing out like second nature, that I get the opportunity to learn from somebody that looks like me. That's in the same situation. Like, there's no better education than that one. The education that comes from my tribe, from the people who are cut from the same cloth. The same people that are traveling around in my village that helped raise me, that I helped raise too. Like, that's where I want to get my education from. That's where I want to get my study from. That's where I want to get my practice. That's where I want to put theory to paper. That's where I want to teach others. I want to do that right here where I'm at, where I'm comfortable. And then I want to go into the places that make me uncomfortable and show you I got this.
No, you're doing amazing work, and I want to let you know, this is special. Like, what you're doing, the vibe that you're creating, your family legacy, the work, the business, the lineage. You're doing it, and looking from just like I said, I know. Like, I tell my mama I don't think you understand. I tell my mom, like, Ma, when you need to come in. She's just like, yo, I would love to, but I am tired. I don't want to go nowhere. I just want to go home. Because I know her social media is not, because what she does, and I don't think that we speak about it in my home enough, but I tell her all the time, like, your ministry is your business.
Oh, heck yeah.
Like, your ministry is legit your business. Like, you want to be a pastor. You want to, you want to have orphanages. You're doing that every time you speak to these young women. Like, you don't understand how many people's lives you save by just being able to have cameras around the business and making sure there's a light that shines no matter what time in the day, and making sure that these women and these kids feel comfortable coming into this business no matter what. And I'm not looking at anybody no type of way. I'm not talking to anybody no type of way. No man is allowed to say anything a type of way in that business, in a tone that I don't like or my mother don't like.
Right.
So being able to create these safe spaces that we kind of spoke about, and you're doing it through your business as a way to not only like feed your family, but also feed the community and be another mother in a space where, where we at. A lot of people don't have really solid mothers or may not have really great family structures, and you're giving everyone an example of what it's like to be a woman at the forefront of it with a strong man right at her side and a family that believes and is invested in her. So I want to make sure that and that from my heart and from me and mine, that what you, your husband, and your kids are doing is really special. Like, this is not by accident. I know it's not easy, but what y'all doing is really changing the world. And I said it to your sis who works at the register, that I was like, yo, like, we are living in real history right now. So absolutely. Like, I just want to make sure that I give you your flowers, because what you guys been able to do, the quality that y'all been able to maintain, let alone, like, the hard part is definitely starting the business, but maintaining excellence, like you said, is probably the biggest testament, and making sure that you're staying consistent with the times. And I understand what you're saying about the everyday thing, because I know that's going to take time to get there, but I'm telling you, the day that y'all do, nothing will go back to being normal for you guys. And I'm saying that in the most positive way. Like, everything you touch will then turn to gold. Anything you do will be amplified. Everything that you represent, the kind of people that's coming in here, like, I think everything about what you do, the price, the quality is very on par for what you're doing, because you know what, everyone can't be at the place that you need to be. Everyone can't experience what you about. Everyone won't respect the value that you bring into the spaces you occupy. Everyone doesn't love good things. And I learned that the hard way. I'm like, everyone don't like great things. A lot of people really just want to come places just to hate. A lot of people just mad that you're doing what you're doing because they just cannot. And at the end of the day, that doesn't mean you need to sacrifice your quality, because the work that you've done is the difference maker between what they're doing. What differentiates those who are great and those who are good is the amount of work that they put in and the attention of detail. People don't execute, they just talk. And what you guys have been able to do is not just to show, but you're able to tell and you're able to do. And a lot of these people could just show and kind of tell. They cannot do. So what I'm going to say is that keep up the great work, and the sacrifices that y'all making are worth every single time, because what you're doing is bigger than what you've seen. There's no amount of money that's going to be able to pay you what you've been able to put into this. Like, your son is going to be a mogul. All your daughters going to be moguls. Everyone that comes to your business is coming out leaving better than it came in. That's God's work. There's not a dollar amount to that. A plate of oxtail is never going to pay for really what you're really giving to others. And I just wanted to make sure that I say it here while I'm saying it. Like, keep up the great work. You're doing it. And it's not like you're attempting to do it. Like, your story is huge. What you've been able to do is huge. The way that you're changing the world is huge. And honestly, as black people, there's not a monolith to what it means to be black and successful. I think that's a conversation that we don't have enough. People see black success as this get rich or die trying mentality, and this thing that's like, yo, I had to do this and I had to. It don't gotta be that for everybody. Black success doesn't need to look and sound like that. Black success can legit just be me making sure that I have a safe space for me and mine to always have a place to eat, to lay their head if things are bad, and also create opportunities for the people that I love. And that's what y'all are doing here. So from me to mine to you and yours, I'm happy and honored to know you, and I'm happy to see what you've been able to do. And I know that this is only the beginning, and this is only a year. And you started this coming still in COVID.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, and I had to tell my mom, like, yo, you gotta give yourself grace, because one thing about us as a people, we don't know how to give ourselves grace, because no one ever gives us grace. Where if someone else does bad, our good is not good enough, but someone's bad is okay because they tried.
Right.
Our bad is we tried is not enough. So, you know, what you're doing here is special. Like, even just, can you tell us a little bit about the literature that's here, or tell us about the decor? Like, what does this spot really represent? Because I feel like when I came in here, this is already, I knew what time it was. This is special.
This is my home. Like, everything that you see here was put up and put in its place by me. Every single picture, every book, every lamp, every plant, every diffuser, you know, the sofas, the books. The books are collected over time just from my experiences. A lot of the books that are in here are either cookbooks or black historical books, or they're books written by entertainers that I've, you know, had experiences with, or they're healing books of healing. You know, they're books of different culture and religion. There's spiritual books in here. There's books of all types of all types of things, but every single one of them I picked up, I purchased, I brought in here, unless it was given to me as a gift. And so I think it's big it's a big deal for me to have the books in here, because, you know, one of the things that people say a lot about, especially about black culture, is that we don't read enough. And I don't ever want to represent anything that is less than excellent. And I believe that we do read as a culture. There are so many culturally aware and articulate black people in the world, and we've created a lot of communication and articulation, and, you know, like, we've said a lot of things. You know, Ebonics, yes, is something that you wanted to give us credit for, but it had to come from another type of communication. And so every time that we create some type of communication, the rest of the world picks it up. You know, like, you'll hear a white man's voice say, let's get jiggy with it on a car commercial. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made that normal because that's something that we created. I believe that comes from because of our savvy ability to communicate. You know, we've figured it out. There's a lot of things that we just figure out, and I believe that comes from our ability to just naturally understand things. You know, but books help us understand things better, because then what you do is you get the perspective of someone else. And so having the books out here, a lot of times the customers come into the restaurant and they are taken aback by the books. They're like, oh my God, can I donate a book? Can I bring a book in? Or can I take a book with me? You know what I mean? And they treat it like a library. And it's like, that's like really powerful for me, because it's like, you want to take the book, like, you really want to read that?
Nah, I'm not gonna lie. This entire library is fire. Like, I really might need to, like, God forbid, like, anything happens, or like, y'all be like, yeah, we don't want these books here no more. I would love for you guys to donate this to my library, or let me buy this from you, because I'm actually building my own library. Like, I think that's my new, like, thing.
Yeah,
like,
libraries are dope.
Because I have a vinyl library, low key.
Okay.
Yeah, my vinyl library is crazy. And I'm trying to get, shout out to my OG Cedric. I'm about to get all the ones out of his garage.
Okay.
He has everything from like 2000 on to like I'll say like 1980s to 2000. I have everything like old Star Wars, Aretha Franklin.
Oh, wow.
My joint I got it donated from my neighbor, so he has everything I want to say from the 1920s to like the 1970s, and a lot of it's water damaged, but they're not destroyed, so you can just like vinyl. You could put the rubbing alcohol and you know, so yeah. But
I mean, that's dope. That's a dope thing too to collect, and like I like collecting. Like I have albums over there. I have a record player. You know, some of this stuff, it just speaks to what my grandmother, you know, used to do in her home. She had a record player. She loved to play old 45s. You know, I thought that was really dope. She would play it over her intercom. At the time, she was like the only black person with an intercom system in her house for every bedroom where she could wake her kids up, and that was in the 70s. You know, so like to know that she had those kind of things, those things make me comfortable, make me feel like she's still here. The pictures and the paintings, some of the paintings are done by my own family, like my sister, my daughter, friends of mine that, you know, attend these paint sip parties that go crazy. You know, these are things that I put in here too. But then there's some like just inspirational things, sayings that I believe speak to who I am, what I've done, and it inspires other people. Like people come in here and they have to really like take a deep breath looking at the things. Like they know that it's very personal, you know, and I will say that I used to visit this cafe in Brooklyn. They're no longer open, but it was a black-owned cafe, and it was really big. Common, Serena Williams, they used to go in there, and the two daughters that were a part of the business actually got a business out of designing their parents' cafe. And it was like a little rinky-dink spot with beat-up sofas and old furniture, and you know, people would come in there and drink their coffee, use the Wi-Fi and stuff, eat a sandwich. I thought that was like a really inspiring space because it made me comfortable. It made me feel good to sit down, and so that inspired me to want to make sure that I brought something to the table that felt like me. And so being that my catering business started in my home and people were able to come into my living room and come into my dining room and sit on my back porch and eat and chill in my den and watch television while I prepared food, I feel like this restaurant gives that same kind of feel, like you just walked into my house. You know, people hang up their clothes. We have about 9 or so different vendors that sell things in here that are earning passive income because they have put their products into the restaurant. We have Ancient Healing. We have some Staten, some Vicious. I can't remember what her last name is, but that young girl Tiana, she comes in, puts up her hoodies. We got t-shirts. We got Darren that brings in things. We have THC, we have infused honeys, we have sea moss from Tobias. We got all kinds of stuff in here, and people sell these kind of things. But I think it's dope that they get that opportunity to sell those things and have visibility in a restaurant where it's not your store, but it gets treated like my house, like you're selling it out of my house. Like some businesses don't have the advantages of getting the brick and mortars, and so I think that the restaurant represents that for everybody, like family. If I were to go into your house and sell Avon or Pampered Chef or whatever it might have been, you did it in the house. You know what I'm saying? Like you went and had these meetings with other mothers and you sold your products. And I feel like that's what the restaurant does. It allows you to kind of like sell your products in a comfortable space where you can still be yourself. When they hang up their shirts, they're hanging it up in the closet. That's what I call it, Shaw-nae's closet. You know, hanging up in the closet. You put your things on the counter, it's on the counter. It's like being in my kitchen. And so this represents what you would see if I were to let you in my home. I would hug you, I would kiss you, I would feed you, I would let you drink, I would let you be merry, let you chill, put your feet up on the couch, whatever it might be. Go to sleep.
Grab a book, yeah.
I'd grab a book, whatever, use the bathroom. I don't know, but you do it in comfort and in love. And I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable, especially in this time where we've lost so many people during the pandemic. You know, we don't know what people are going through when they're coming in here to come and eat. We don't know what's going on in their mind in terms of work or money or whatever it might be, but I want them to come in here and kind of like let things go. You know, if you got to treat it like an altar and you got to come in and leave your pain or your struggle here, then leave it here and tell me to pray for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of like something else that I want to be able to give to the people, not just the plate of food. And that's why I'm saying soul food is so much bigger. And so because I'm working under that umbrella, it's like I want to change the game, and I want people to understand that soul food is about the encounter and the experience.
No, I love that. Speaking on COVID, because I really don't want to touch on it too much, but I feel like it's definitely important. What is one thing that you learned about yourself during that time of COVID?
I'm a survivor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be resourceful, and I'm going to adapt to whatever it might be, and I'm not going to suffer, terribly. I'm going to be able to fix a meal. I'm going to be able to take a bath. I'm going to be able to clean my clothes. I'm going to be able to spend time with my children and talk to them. And, my husband and I are going to be able to still provide a safe space, and we're not going to stop making money.
I love that. Okay, cool. So what's next? We got to know the mastermind. We understand the journey. You even did a couple of shameless plugs between the two books and a lot of the names that you've been able to cater your business to. What's next? What are we hoping to see next coming from Shaw-nae's house?
Well, what you will see coming up is my husband's farm.
Beautiful.
Will happen, and we will grow the restaurant into a bigger chain, and with us working and partnering together, we'll be able to also bring soil to soul. So that farm to soul feeling, the soil to soul, we'll be able to touch people's lives by pulling things right out of the ground and putting it on the table. I believe that's really powerful. You will see the books coming out, the cookbook and the book discussing my life experience. And you will also get the opportunity to see this business grow and possibly franchise. So
I love that.
those opportunities are on the table. We're working those things out right now. We're in discussion. We're not moving hastily. We're moving patiently, trusting God and his alignment and his work and will. And we believe that it's only up from here.
What about the cooking show? The cooking show still gonna be there?
Cooking show,
the production
the podcast,
piece, yeah.
Those things are still happening. Inspired by you and others, this production company that I'm looking at is going to be, I'll say, bigger than Harpo Studios.
Has to be.
Yes, it's going to be a bigger situation.
We have the resources now.
Yes.
The spaces are being curated. People are creating it, and people are operating it very similar to this. So it's no excuses.
Yes, absolutely. So you will see the show come. You will hear my voice over the podcast the same way that you're hearing it now with Cletus, because he is just super dope. And you, what did you say? You're not in fear of saying the things you're saying? What is the line?
Oh, no. I mean, it's just, you tune and talking, you cheat me. I know the face, I know the name, man. We the greatest, man. I try to tell you, God is the, I be like, people like, yo, how you doing? I'm good, but God is the greatest.
That's right.
Like, people like, God is good all the time. No. God is the greatest.
He's the GOAT.
He's the greatest. What are we talking about?
Yes. He's holding us down. But yeah, the big things are coming for all of us. I really see that. Like, I see God surrounding me with really good people like yourself and sending me my supporting staff, my team, my group, my tribe, my clique, whatever it might be. I see those people showing up. And I guess Mr. Softy won't be so soft around me, and my solids really come into play.
I say it all the time. I'd rather 3 lions than 100 sheep.
That's right.
I'm not even playing with these I'm playing for keeps. I need it all. I need the walking free. I need the back end. I need my rider. I need it all.
That's the truth.
And we not playing for fun no more.
For that.
Need it all. Nah, but I think my last question, and I think it's like probably my favorite question, is if you were speaking to your younger self or someone who is basically trying to create, because I know another thing, Staten Island has a lot of young women and young men who are kind of like doing ghost kitchens or starting up businesses out of their homes. What is some advice that you give them on how to get to, where you are faster than you got there?
Do dope shit and act tax. Like, know your worth. Do not go into this situation questioning yourself, measuring yourself, or trying to align with anything that is not according to God's will. If I would have been able to tell myself 10 years ago, give myself any kind of advice, it really seriously would have been, put your value in an invoice. Like, let nobody take that from you. Because your time is not your own. You gotta get paid for the things that you do, and you gotta know how valuable your time really is. And when you're out here, I see these hungry entrepreneurs on TikTok and Instagram, and you're selling yourself short if you think it's all in the 60 seconds. that you can sell the entire experience or work that you put into creating those products and getting them out, you gotta put the right price on there. The price tag, don't be fearful of your price tag. Put it out, stamp it, because you know what? Versace and Balenciaga and Gucci and everybody else ain't scared to put the price on the tag. Why should we?
No, I think you said it. I think that's the best way to put it. And we on God's standard, not nobody else. So whatever the value is, you gotta go take it up with the Creator.
That's it.
Miss Shaw-nae, thank you so much for your time.
Mr. Cletus,
I know you tired.
Appreciate you. I never say I'm tired.
All right, now maybe not
Power
tired.
of my words. I will never say that I'm tired. I know that I need my sleep.
Yes, ma'am.
But
you had a long day.
When I say the word tired, you probably won't get to see me.
You had a fulfilled day.
That's right.
You had a fulfilled day.
Choose the word fulfilled.
You had a fulfilled day.
It's about fulfillment.
Because I'm not gonna lie, you maxed out the day.
Yes.
So much so that we even in it tomorrow.
Absolutely. I was up 5:30 this morning.
Come on.
You know what?
God is the greatest. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you for the immaculate meals.
Amen.
Very good. Everything was on point. I'm gonna make sure my mama eat it. And I promise you, she's gonna say great things about it. And if people want to come here and eat, where can they come to Shaw-nae's house? Where's it located? And if people want to follow you and follow the brand, where can they go to do so?
If you following the brand, you following me. That's me. I am Shaw-nae. This is Shaw-nae on Instagram. THISISSHAWNAE. That's been my name my whole life. If you want to follow the brand, the business, Shaw-nae's House, SHAWNAESHOUSE on Instagram. You can also follow us on Facebook, same names. You can also go on to TikTok, Shaw-nae's House, and you can get over here. Come home when you're really ready to eat. When you're ready to really eat, you got to go home to eat. So here at Mi Casa, as kinda su casa in Shaw-nae's house, we're always going to be right here, very still, very appropriate, very excellent, and very available as long as you possibly make a reservation. Because we are an intimate dining space at 381 Van Duzer Street, Staten Island, 10304. We're right here in the town, Stapleton Heights. And if you decide that you possibly don't or you're unable to eat here, we do allow you to pick your food up and take the experience home so that you can take your socks off, twinkle your toes, drink your tea, enjoy your space, cuddle with your loved one, or cuff up with your Netflix and chill. It doesn't matter. I'm not judging you, but come here, come home, get some real food, get loved on, get talked to, get cared for, get prayed for, and then get up the next day.
I love it. I love it. Man, like I said, y'all tuned into the world's greatest podcast, and y'all know the slogan, it's not that deep. It's a vibe.